All right. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We have been talking about content creation in the past few weeks, and this aspect today is basically one of the very important aspects of creating content. So, in this subject, in this subject matter, we will be dissecting the basic reasons or purpose for which you have to include call to actions whenever you write a content or whenever you create a content. That's been titled as the purpose, and we're going to show also the types of call to actions, and lastly we will be discussing about how often it is necessary for us to create or to include call to actions to our scripts or our contents when necessary. So I will first and foremost dive into explaining what a call to action is all about. First and foremost, we must understand that the purpose for which we write content is to achieve a goal. It could be that you want to tell a story, it could be that you want to tell a history, it could be that you want to sell something to people, it could be just for any reasons that you are creating a content. Now, at the end of the day, uppermost on your mind should be, how can you continue to serve your clients? How can you continue to feed your clients with more content? How can you continue to keep your clients glued to your own platform so that other competitors do not take them away? Now, that's more like building a brand that sticks with the mind of your target audience and goes further to say that, okay, for those who love what you do, they become loyal to your brand, they become loyal to you. It's like saying, okay, I want to open up the entirety of my system for people to be able to understand, so that even when I'm not there, they can be able to speak for me. Now, how do you get this kind of people? This is where call to actions come to play. How do you keep people to continue to listen to you? This is where call to actions come to play. How can you also sell to people whatever products you've created? This is where call to actions come to play. So simply, call to action is saying the message you must pass to the people or the target audience you really want to keep with you, or you really want to sell something to. So that's what call to action is all about. Now we will go right straight into the various purposes for which call to actions is created. Now, here I stated that number one, it is basically about taking your prospects through the customer journey. Listen to this. There is every reason someone wants to buy from you, but for that person to be able to buy, he needs to understand that you are creating value for him. He needs to understand that you are solving his problems. He needs to understand that you are giving him a reason to feel that he or she is safe getting along with you. Now, how do you carry people from one point of your content creation to another? This is the point we're talking about. How do you take the customer from point A? Maybe he's not listened to you before. Maybe he has not seen anything about you before. Maybe he doesn't even trust you. So in creating content, we must also bear in mind that the essence is to create trust from our viewers, from our listeners, from our readers, just anyone that falls within the purview of our target audience. How do we help create trust so much that they can turn to become loyal to us? So the process is taking them from that first point where they don't even know you at all, where they have never heard about you before, where you have never been known as an influencer in the niche where you're playing, to a point where they can now recognize you as, yes, this is the major influencer in this niche as far as I am concerned. So the process from which they do not know you at all to where they get to relax their mind and say, oh, this is actually who I'm supposed to be listening to, or this is actually who I'm supposed to be buying this product from, is what we call the customer journey. In the process, there is a possibility that a customer could be lost. How do you get the customer on track is where your call to actions becomes important. Let me give you a clear instance. I got onto the internet or on a platform today and I just saw something popped up and it says, oh, I'm here to solve your eye problem. And for me to solve your eye problem, let me tell you a story. And the person starts telling me a story. I got engaged in the story. Then at a point, I was almost losing interest. And the person says, no, wait, don't go yet. You know what? Before you go, like this page so that you can hear me when I am going to talk about the recommendations to cure your eye. That's one call to action the person has placed there. Now, taking me from the point of, oh, this is your eye problem, this is how it can be, this is what happens when your eye is like this is how it is supposed to be, and all of that, those might be fascinating, could catch my attention, but has not really solved my problem. So for me to stay with him, he needs to ask me to do something. The writer, the author needs to ask me to do something. So at that point where he asked me to say, okay, like my page, is a call to action he's giving me so that he can take me through the customer journey. Now, by the time he says like my page, or like my page and turn on the notification of your platform so that anytime I talk, you will know. That's call to action. And that is taking me through the customer journey. Now, maybe at the point where he now says, okay, in the next episode, I'm going to be talking about the recommended drugs you need to take to cure your eye. So, for you to know when I am talking about it, like my page, he has asked me, he has given me a call to action. If I go on to like his page now, maybe the next one where he now talks about the recommendation, he now says, okay, now that I've given you recommendation, the next thing I want to talk about is the pricing. How to make a decision about the pricing. This is also the customer journey. But for you to know the decision of the best price you need to afford this treatment, this is what you need to do. Send me your email and I will send you something. That's another call to action. He has asked me to send my email. He has called to action. He has asked me to send him my email. That's a call to action. And by doing so, I am also committing to the brand that, oh, now I trust you and I can deal with you. Then he goes further to say, okay, you have sent me an email. Thank you. Please go to your inbox and check. I have also sent you something. Now, when you go to your inbox, download what I have sent you, then paste it on social area. All those instructions that are being given are call to actions. And you see, marketers online or people who create content most times are very, very wise at actually taking a customer through this journey process. That is why it is not just easy for you to come online and start creating content and all of that, and people will begin to buy without taking them through a customer journey. But while you're taking them through a customer journey, you must be able to put the call to actions in place so that you can actually get them to follow you. By them moving from one point to another, shows to you their level of commitment. Now I'll give you a clear scenario of what happens. Someone came up, started blogging, writing content, and the first day he said, okay, I'm going to be teaching you so and so the next day. The first day, after talking about whatever he had to say, 100 people actually liked the page. Then the next time he now said, okay, send me your emails. Guess what happened? Only 40 people sent him email address. It means that he has lost 60. That's the second level of the customer journey. The third level of the customer journey says, okay, send me your phone numbers and all of that. I'll send you this. Just as it kept going, the numbers began to drop. That's one scenario. But for this man, at the end of the day, he probably got about 23 people who followed the process through to the end. Now, this is a clear conviction that these 23 people are definitely going to buy your product at the end of the day. So it's important to note that call to action is a way to also help you identify specifically the people who are interested in your products at the end of the day, because they were loyal to follow through to the end in the customer journey process. So you must also bear in mind that when you're setting the call to actions, it should be a leading call to action that takes the customer from a point to another. Now, that is for those who strictly intend to sell at all times. In fact, it's important for all marketers. But then it is not just about giving them those leads. You can also bring call to actions to help people probably like your various platforms and all of that. So this is an example also. While you're saying this probably on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, you could just say, okay, I have created a content here, but it's not as much as you can get from here. So it says, okay, this is on Instagram. I know you like this content, but for you to get more of the content, go to my Instagram, my Facebook page, and now put the Facebook link, and it says like this page or click here or whatever. These are call to actions that takes a customer from one stage to another. But basically, the first and most important is the fact that it takes prospects through the customer journey. And if you have that at the back of your mind when you are actually creating content, it's very important. Create content with call to actions that actually take customers through the process through the customer journey. So if you know how to create content, first and foremost, what's important is, if you want to sell something, be able to create a customer journey and the plan, which of course comes with the content plan for your blogs, for your platforms, so that you can take the customers through the journey to the point where they can buy from you. Now, another purpose is to help increase your influence. As a matter of fact, taking customers through the journey process is a way to be able to sieve clients that can become loyal to you. Yes, I have said that. However, it's also important to note that by using call to actions, it increases your influence. Because when on a page you say, okay, if you like the article you have just read, please share it on your personal profile or share it in a group where you belong so that people can also learn. That's a way to increase your influence. It means that more people get to know about you, more people get to hear about you, and in same manner, your influence begin to increase rapidly. And guess what? It even costs less when you look at its comparison with paid advertisements and all of that. And for brand owners, for business owners, what is foremost most times, especially as borders on online marketing, is for you to create a brand. So in creating your brand, you must be able to create a brand that is highly influential, and this is where call to actions come to play. The next one is the fact that it will increase your reach by call to actions and asking people to share your content, to probably place it in the group where they are. You are automatically helping yourself increase your reach, because in the end, basically, when we create content, what is important is how many people gets to see the content, how many people gets to hear our podcast, how many people gets to watch our videos and all of that. So it's important that you always use call to actions, because it is the call to actions that tells everybody what to do after watching your video, after listening to your podcast, after reading your articles or whatever. It is the call to action that helps move your contents far beyond where you want it to go or where you are. So let's bear in mind that call to actions is important because it helps you to increase your reach. The next one is the fact that it reduces your cost. We have said that as borders on advertising and organic reach. Now, in advertising, you spend to actually get Facebook, for instance, or Twitter, or Instagram, or YouTube, whoever, or whatever platform, to help you reach your target audience. But when you use call to actions, without paying these people, once they enjoy the content, I can bet that they will help you propagate your content. They will help you push your content out so much that a lot of people will get to see it, and they will begin to come towards you. I'm sure you will have seen a lot of viral videos, a lot of viral content that you just see people without being paid. They just say share. They just send it to their WhatsApp. They send it to their Facebook page and all of that without even knowing the originator. So this way of actually getting your content to go out faster makes it easier for brand owners, for business owners to spend on adverts. It means that by the time 100 people were able to help share your content, you will have to pay probably less than the $5 or less than the 10,000 naira you usually pay for a particular advert. So it's important that call to actions be used because it's going to reduce your cost of advertising. Now, with call to actions, it also tells you clearly if you have real connections. I remember one time when I had to, specifically on this, I remember one time when I had to post content every now and then, and I realized that was on my page. I realized that less people were actually interested. Very minimal number of people. And this content that I've had to post, when you go to other platforms, when you do what they call repurposing in content, which of course I'm going to be teaching, these same contents tend to get a lot of viral drive, a lot of people commenting, a lot of people. But I posted it on my Facebook page and found out that nobody seemed to be responding. So I decided to go down and see my fan my fan pages. I think at that time I was having about 3,000 or thereabout. So I had to go to my Facebook page to see what really was going on, and I found out there that the likes of people that had liked my page were were far younger than the age limits I was targeting. They were within their 12, 13 to 17 years old, and just very few were above probably 25. Then around the 30 something years old people, very few. So what I did was to come back again to my page, and I decided to reduce, or I decided to cut down the number of people based on age. If you are not anything older than 18 years old, I think it was even 23 I did. If you are not any age older than 23 years old, you don't have a dealing with my page. So as soon as I did that, I began to drive content in the page. We shot, in no time we shot to about 6,000 thereabout, and today we are about 7,000 on my page, on my Facebook page. So with this number of people, a lot of times when I post some content that is intended for a problem solving situation, what I get is they come to my inbox and they send me personal messages, even my WhatsApp page. They send me personal messages and they say, "Oh, Tim, thanks for this content. Look, this is my challenge," and all of that. So what call to action does is helps you find real connections. You get to see people who are actually real in your page. Not just that, you attract the real people who are your target audience to you. So call to action is important. All right, so the next will be the common types of call to action. Now I'm going to be showing us some common types of call to action, and I want you to take a look at them. Now I'll give you a clear instance. Sorry, I'll give you a clear instance. Okay, this is a man. This was posted earlier in the day, and he said, "Learn how to optimize your Facebook page, business page." And I wrote all of this, or one of my staff wrote all of this. And at the end of the day, okay, someone responded. He said, "Hey, I'm loving your content. Keep it up. Such high quality. Mind checking out my page, and I will appreciate your support and follow on my account. Lots of love." Now this guy has actually called me to action. He wants me to check up his page and also follow him. Great, I have done that anyway. So that's one call to action. But I want to show you link call to actions. Call to actions. Let me see. Call to actions and links. Now this is a call to action based on links. Okay. Now this one says the big book of experimentation. Be inspired by 40 plus experiment ideas that have generated millions in revenue. And they now say, get your copy. And look at, get your copy. Now what they're saying is I should click here to get my copy. This one said download now. This one said get updates. Now these are different call to actions, but they are in one format. All are links. Now this one said get your copy. All I simply need to do is to click here, and it takes me to the copy, right? It takes me to the copy. Now look at it. Here now, it says share a few contact details and we will send a download link to your inbox. Now that's like moving me from one stage to another. He has said click here, which is a link. Now here is saying give me your address, your email address, and we will send it to you. Then he went further to say when you click here, it shows that I'm interested, so I will now move to the next stage. This is a pure call to action. Pure call to actions in sequence. Now that's about links. Another call to action is give us a call. Someone could just say, this is my number. If you love this content, if you enjoy this, give me a call on this number. And once I call them, they have my number registered. It could even be send me a message on WhatsApp or whatever. Those are call to actions. Those are examples of call to actions. Now, call to actions, another one is to collect details. I just showed us this one that talked about give us your email address. Some would even say give us your full names, your location, your zip code, your phone numbers, your number of staff, how many staff you have, and all of that. These are types of call to actions. Some would ask you to share. I'm sure we get that almost every day. These are also call to actions that we must take note of. Then another one would say watch, read, or listen more. This is also another way of dropping a call to action. It could be you stumbling on the content. After reading it, before you go, the person says, oh, please, there is more. Click here to watch more, or go here to watch more, or to read more, or to listen more. These are call to action tags. Another one could say tag someone. We see that almost on a daily basis on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and the rest of them, Snapchat and the rest of them. So you need to know that these are call to actions. Then some would even say follow a movement. It could be okay, hey, say no to drug trafficking by signing this page and all of that. This is call to action as well. Then call to action could be selling something by saying, oh, buy this product here. Just click here to buy this product. This is call to action. It's another type of call to action. Then another type of call to action is discounts. Jumia, Amazon, a lot of these e-commerce platforms use it most times. They will just say click here to get a discount from the purchase of this product, and you get people start trooping in there. These are important call to actions. There are many more call to actions, more than 100 that you can actually apply. I could even go on my page and say just say yes in the comment section. That's a call to action. Or I could say send me hi on WhatsApp using this number. That's call to action. All of these are intended to actually get those who are probably at the end of the day going to be your buyers, or they're going to be your loyal customers, or whatever you think about having a niche follower. That's what all this is all about. Then the next one is how often should you use it? Now that depends on what you're actually creating. A lot of people create various content for various audiences. The number of call to actions you must use will depend on what you're creating. Now for people who are creating articles, and if you know that the article is actually a very long one, like sales copy, it's important that your call to action appears almost in all the paragraphs. Not necessarily one paragraph. You can jump into two, depending on how long your content is. The reason is simple, so that for those who do not have the patience to go through all that you are trying to sell, there's an easy way out. If they are convinced in the first two paragraphs you have written or they've read, you can just say, are you okay with this? Click here to buy, or click here to know to see my recommendation on this thing. That's the reason why you must also bear in mind the number of call to actions you should put on your page. So for sales copy, basically, a lot of times, because it's a long text, it's always important to put as more call to actions as possible. For educational info, depending on whether it is long or short, it's always important that you put your call to action at the end. In fact, all of this you must also put your call to action at the end. But basically, you can put in between for educational information. Now that depends on how long the content is. Then there are also video contents that while they are watching, even if it's long, you just put the call to action somewhere and say, okay, for this, if you want to buy, just click this. You see that on YouTube and all of that. Then on social media ads, most times it's not very much, so the content is usually not very much. So always have a link under the video that just says, oh, click here. If you can even design something that can be pointing at the call to actions for them, very important, go ahead and do it. Now in story writing, when you're writing stories, it's important that you include your call to actions at every break of total conviction, that you know that this customer is really held down. Make sure you put your call to actions there, so that once they do the needful, it increases your loyalty fan base. And at this point, I would say that for everyone who is writing a content, who is creating content, bear in mind always that the essence is to get them to finally reach a goal. And for them to reach a goal, you must always put that call to action. And it's important because that is what actually gets them to interact at first hand with you. It gets you to know that, okay, you actually have people who are actually interested in your content. So don't forget, always have call to actions in your content. For micro contents, very, very important as well. You can always tell them, see, this is just the tip of the iceberg, or the real one you need to chew from is here. So click here to take you there. Now, by those who now click to take them to this next level, it shows the number of people who are actually interested in you. It's not everybody who just comes on to hit like and all of that is interested in your content. So always bear that in mind, that it's important to put call to actions to your content, and depending on the length of your call to your content, your call to action must be seen at every interval. All right, thank you so much for your time. I hope that this resonated with you. I'll see you again in the next episode of our content training class. Thank you, and God bless you.